Gordon Gilbert, welcome to Game On. Thank you for joining us. Former professional footballer, having plied your trade with Aces, Chiefs, Swallows, now professional mountain biker. Tell us why you left the professional football game.
Yeah, I left purely because I had recurrent injuries and I was just struggling to get myself sorted and stay fit. I just kept on breaking down, so I decided after 14 years it was probably time to call it a day. But yeah, I just felt that I still had a lot to offer sport. I decided to race mountain bikes. My brother races motorbikes, so two wheels has always been in my blood. So I decided to race mountain bikes, and yeah, things are going well. I'm training hard and my injury doesn't flare up when I'm on the bike. It's only when I start running. So I'm having a good time on the mountain bike now.
Mentally, it must have been very tough for you to give up football. It's your life, it's what you've grown up doing your whole life. How difficult was it to actually make that decision?
Yeah, being brought up in Scotland, as you can hear in my accent, I was always going to try and be a footballer. That was my dream from an early age. And then it became part of my life. So to leave football was always going to be a tough decision. And when I did finally decide to leave football, it was hard. I started getting anxiety. I didn't know what I was going to do next, what my next chapter was. So I'm also blessed to have found a mountain bike, and I'm really glad that I'm able to do well in a sport that I love as well.
Before we talk about mountain biking, just tell me quickly, what was your biggest highlight in your 14 years of football?
Biggest highlight, I've got many, but I would say reaching the Nedbank Cup final with Black Aces. Unfortunately, we lost in the last minute. Building up to that final, we didn't concede one goal the whole of the Nedbank Cup, so defensively we did really well, and we had a really good team, good unit. Team spirit was phenomenal, so I really miss those days, and it's days that will live with me for a long time. But yeah, I've got many highlights. Getting man of the match for Kaizer Chiefs on my debut. I mentioned a few.
Fantastic. Let's move into mountain biking and things like that. What's the biggest attraction about riding on a mountain bike?
I keep telling people to start riding bikes because South Africa is probably one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and when you're on a mountain bike you get to see places that nobody will dream of seeing. So we're in proper remote areas in the mountains, untouched land, just basically following cattle trails or manicured trails by men. But yeah, I mean, the wildlife, the birds, the trees, the scenery, the mountains, everything that we see is just phenomenal. So mountain biking is so spiritual, it's just rewarding in every way. You work hard to get to the top of the mountain, you enjoy the scenery, and then you enjoy the fast downhills.
The biggest mountain bike race in South Africa is the Absa Cape Epic. You've done that 3 times. Tell us what that experience was like.
Yeah, the Cape Epic is, let's say it's not for sissies. Like they say, Africa's not for sissies, and I promise you it's not. You've got to be well prepared, you've got to know what you're getting yourself into, otherwise you will fall short. But the Epic is unbelievable. You learn so much about yourself as a person, and once you've accomplished those 8 days, you really have accomplished something magnificent. And I mean, it doesn't matter what level you're on, whether you're up with the pros or you're coming stone last, you still finish, and you learn so much about yourself. You push yourself to a whole new level. So yeah, the Epic is a must if you're determined and brave enough.
What's the toughest thing about riding that race?
The toughest thing about the Epic is you've got 8 days to contend with, but I mean it's 8 grueling days, so it's just consistency, trying to get through every day and keep enough in the tank for the next day. But I think the toughest thing is just overcoming the mental aspect, because when the going gets tough and you really feel that you can't go anymore, you've got to put it out of your head that you've still got another 7 or 6 or 5 days as it would be. But I think, yeah, it's just every day is a tough day. You become a soldier out there, and you've just got to put your mind to it and just soldier on.
Certainly suits you well. You mentioned the soldier, you were a soldier on the football field. What would your words of advice be to youngsters looking to get into mountain biking?
I'd say it's all work ethic. You've got to be determined, set your goals, and be willing to go out there and just work hard and just never surrender. The harder you train, the harder it is to surrender. And I just feel that anything can be accomplished.
Outside of mountain biking as a professional, you're heavily involved in Rhino Conservation. Can you tell us what you're up to and things along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, obviously football is still part of my life, and I use football as the vehicle to educate and try and intrigue children and adults to conserve and preserve their heritage. So with football, I go there with a message, and the message is try and look after the rhino, look after the big five, don't poach, don't kill, and don't tolerate people robbing us of this beautiful beast. But not to mention other endangered species as well. I mean, there are wild dog, leopard, lion, elephants. I mean, every day we're losing these beautiful animals, and if we don't all stand up and be counted for and try and make a difference, there's going to be one of these days we'll lose, one of these animals will go extinct, yeah.
Fantastic. Just to finish off, what are your personal goals for the rest of the season and in the near future, both in cycling and in Rhino Conservation?
Yeah, well, first I want to get my coaching badges, so that's one of my goals. I want to get back into football, perhaps be a coach one day. From cycling, I just want to do as best as I can until I decide that I've had enough, but in the meantime I really want to try and compete with the best and see what I can do. Everyone says footballers are softies, so I'm going to prove that wrong. And then, yeah, with the Rhino Conservation, I really want to leave a legacy. I want to try and make a difference where I can. I think the biggest thing is our future's in the hands of our youth, so I've got to educate them, and hopefully I can make a little difference. But yeah, I would love to see the day that rhinos aren't getting poached and any other wild animal. I think they're absolutely magnificent.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us on Game On, and hopefully we see you on the coaching staff for one of the PSL teams shortly.
Great, yeah, that's our ambition of mine, so